Tshwane member of the Mayoral Committee, or MMC, for Safety and Emergency Services, Meyer, has made damning allegations against the police. She says some SAPS members based in Pretoria are involved in the drug trade. Meyer says she's received reports and footage showing police dealing in drugs. This information comes at the back of collaborative efforts between the taxi industry, law enforcement officials and the City of Tshwane to restore order across the city. Meyer, the MMC, joins us in studio along with Macdonald Makata, who is the PRO for the Santaco Tshwane. Good to have both of you. Thanks so much for coming into Morning Live. Karen, let me begin with you. So we're talking to these allegations. You say you have evidence. Tell us a little bit more about what is contained in this footage and the evidence you have.
Look, first of all, I don't want to go into detail as to the evidence because that is something that SAPS needs to take up, and they need to investigate properly and revert back to us or as public and tell us what they found. But to understand what we are dealing with in the city currently, we need to go back a bit. A few weeks ago when we had that spate of violence in our city, that happened because one of our taxi drivers, Jabo Baloy, was shot due to a drug situation that happened. That's when the violence started in our city. After that, we had a meeting with the provincial police commissioner, the MEC for roads and transport, my counterpart in roads and transport, MMC Sheila Senkabuke, the taxi leadership organizations, as well as TMPD and SAPS. And in that meeting, it came to light that the taxi leadership in general gave information to SAPS alleging that SAPS members are involved. They gave them time, places, etc., detail. We also expect SAPS to revert back to all of us to say what has happened to that investigation. That's one of the things we discussed there. So after that, we, from the City of Tshwane's side, we decided we're going to have a joint steering committee with all the role players I just mentioned to sit around a table, to hold each other accountable and listen to each other and see what the problems are so that we as a collective can address it. That we have done as a City of Tshwane, and all the role players were there. And it's quite successful at this stage. However, we do need to understand that as a city, as the Metro Police, the Tshwane Metro Police, we have a very small drug unit which does an amazing job, but we're very small. And it's not the Metro Police's core function to address the drug situation in the city. It's a SAPS competency. So we can only play a secondary role. We need SAPS to step up and take control. One of the other issues that we discussed at our initial meeting was that SAPS will ensure proper drug busts in our city, and we will assist as far as TMPD is concerned. That never happened. So we do expect from SAPS to take the lead. If we, as a city currently, it's costing our city. This kind of violence is costing the city enormously. It's costing our residents.
Costing the country.
It's costing the country. So it seems to us that SAPS is not taking this drug situation that we are experiencing in our city very serious or serious enough. We can't have one or two drug busts when the state president's in our city. That's just not good enough. So we do expect them. It's a constant thing. This is a constant thing that we have to work together. We can't work in silos, and we need constant communication on this matter.
Which is of vital importance. So I'm going to get to the taxi industry now, but just in terms of the relationship with SAPS, the evidence has obviously been handed over. What has their response been? Have you had interaction with them at all?
Look, as I said, I received the information as a third person, so I don't want to comment on that. But as far as my knowledge goes, the information was handed and the proof was handed over to SAPS. So it's for them to properly investigate and revert back and say what their findings are. But the fact of the matter remains, this is not the first time this has happened. And this is apparently, according to the information we received, going on for years, where there's claims that SAPS members are involved. So this is an extremely serious situation that we're dealing with. But we need proper coordination and feedback from SAPS.
So now the taxi industry has gotten involved, and obviously as we spoke to the incident of Jabu and what happened with him eventually losing his life because of this. And this flared up a lot of hatred and violence and criminality and xenophobia, whatever we can call it. But this turned into a very dramatic situation for South Africa. The taxi industry, you are now working together with the city and Metro Police, or who else are you working with, to try and help where you can?
Thank you, Leanne. To start with, in Tshwane, we are the taxi industry. You would remember there are two structures, your NTA and your Santaco. I'm representing Santaco, but in Tshwane we are operating as taxi industry. So there's no division there. So the drug issue has been a problem for quite some time, and it hits us directly as the taxi operators, because our commuters are being marked by drug addicts, and it all happens right in front of us. As our operators are the foot soldiers, and if you want to know anything about whatever is happening on the ground, you talk to a taxi operator. They are there. They are the ones who are seeing all these things happening. So yes, it impacted negatively on us as a business, because to start with, taxi industry is not just a taxi industry, it's a business for us. So we really don't condone violence. We are anti that. But then again, we also need to look into the issue of drugs again, and what it costs us as business. And us again, before we become business people, we are community members. Yeah. How it impacts negatively on us, in the places where we come from. So yeah, it's quite a big issue.
Yeah, I imagine it's a massive issue, and as you say, if there's one industry that sees it, it would be the taxi industry, and that's you're there on the ground with people, seeing absolutely everything that goes on, and this partnership, I imagine, is going to result in something beneficial for communities, because at the moment, as we say, the situation is getting out of control, and what's scary is that it seems that there's kind of a vigilantism taking place, because it doesn't appear that the officials are doing anything about it. I mean, as it is already, we saw that there was an incident where members of the public in Tshwane beat up 2 alleged drug peddlers on Monday. Tell us about this.
Exactly. That's unfortunately the situation that we're sitting with now. When the taxi industry brought to the fore the situation regarding the drugs, we have some criminal elements that's just jumping onto the bandwagon and looting and doing all sorts of arson and that kind of thing that's, we didn't expect. So we have that kind of element, unfortunately. But just to come back to your question about our kind of relationship, this joint steering committee has already beared some fruits. In our last meeting, we received some information, and within the hour, Tshwane Metro Police arrested a drug peddler, which is awesome. This is the kind of thing that we expect to keep on happening on a constant basis. But as I said, the Metro Police can't do this on our own. We need a proper SAPS involvement, and on a regular basis. This kind of joint steering committee, in fact, we're having another one again today, but this is something that we envision to happen forever. This is not just a once-off or for a few months until the situation is calmed down a bit. This is something that we see as a constant and a permanent solution to address the situation, because the drug situation, not in just in our city, but in our country, is taking on an excessively large amount of, it's causing major problems in our country. And we need a collective effort from all role players to address the situation.
I want to find out from you and from the people that are with you, Macdonald, the taxi drivers, the taxi industry. From the reports that they give you, from the feedback that you get, how bad is the drug situation?
Oh, quite bad. It's very bad. We also happen to go and, see for ourselves, because being office bearers, sometimes you might just underestimate, how large this thing can be. And we also got involved with community members around the townships around Tshwane, And they are also saying, taxi industry, you look like you are winning this. But all we are saying is that we are not law enforcement agencies. We are pure business people. So I don't want to be to us being seen as a task force or something on its own. We need our police, we need our TMPD, we need our SAPS, and their visibility will help us more.
Yeah.
And because as the situation is now, our taxi operators, I want to do away with taxi drivers, because when you say taxi drivers, a taxi driver is a taxi driver. So we must not underestimate the qualifications they have. Those are taxi operators because they're operating our vehicles. So what I'm saying in this one is that they see these things and they get them reported and nothing happens. Tomorrow it happens again. A woman comes crying, she was mugged. Then it's where now the tempers flare now. Now it gets out of control. So but we don't condone that. What we are saying to them is, we are lucky now because we are now a setup. We have got a steering committee with SAPS, with the TMPD, with the taxi industry as well. I think around the table, if we together, we join forces, because we have got the information as the taxi industry, as people on the ground.
Yeah.
So we just need somebody who can give us a hearing to say, oh, this is happening, where, how?
So what I'm gathering, and this is it's quite worrying, because from both of you, the angles that I'm getting here is that SAPS are not getting involved here. That there is a big worry from your point of view that you're saying that the Metro Police are fine, they're working there. You're saying you need SAPS to listen to you, you need an ear. What's the problem? Why are SAPS not coming to the party? This is all that I've picked up from this interview.
Yeah, I think, let me be very clear. SAPS are involved in our joint steering committee. However, it seems that we are working in silos. They are doing whatever they do, but we don't get feedback. We do not know exactly what they're doing. What we hear is one or two drug busts when the state president is in the city, and that's not good enough. This is a massive situation that is killing us in our city, and it's killing our economy. And this vigilante situation that we're experiencing is because of frustration. So we don't have an option. SAPS needs to play ball. We need to sit all together. We cannot work in silos. And I think this is one thing that they need to understand. It's not just SAPS here that need to address the situation. We need to work together as the city, as the taxi industry, as everybody collectively to address this kind of situation. And we need to start learning to listen to each other. If we don't do that, we will experience continuous violence in our city, because it feels to these people that no one is listening to them, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah. There was a report that I was reading, perhaps you can give me a little bit of light and viewers as well, in terms of a building that was set alight, or what happened there? Did that also happen this week, where alleged drug dealers were, but SAPS were trying to protect them? What was the story there? Please, if you could just give us a bit more detail.
Yes, I don't have the full report on what happened there, but according to information I received, the building wasn't the problem. It seems like the suspects ran into that building, and that's when some vigilante members of the public went after them. However, they were forced to be protected by SAPS and TMPD. But the fact of the matter remains that we also, as an emergency service from the city, we had to send in fire brigade and ambulance onto the scene, and SAPS stopped both entities because they felt the situation was too volatile, which I can understand. But we also have to bank on the support from SAPS in ensuring the safety of our emergency staff. They have to do their tasks. They have to fulfill their tasks. Yeah. And that's where SAPS comes in again. They need to protect those people. We can't wait for a building to burn down or for someone to die first before we allow the ambulance or the fire brigade to go in.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, it just seems like this is a major situation, and we're only tackling Tshwane because there's a rest of the country that we need to address as well. The taxi industry. We can't paint the taxi industry as saints. We can't, because we know that there are a lot of issues within the taxi industry itself. However, when it comes to this fight against the drug trade. It seems that the taxi industry really wants to take this seriously. Is this a nationwide campaign that you're embarking on, that you want to work with SAPS, with Metro, throughout the country? Is this something that you're hoping to see happen?
Exactly. I was talking to the president yesterday about the issue, and he also said the same worry.
The president? Which president?
The president of Santaco,
okay.
Mr. Philip Tybos. And yes, it is a worry factor for anyone, for everybody. It is not just an issue of once off. It has been there. We are seeing it on daily basis. The drug addicts, if you want to see them, go to the ranks. They are there in numbers, and you can see them, the struggle they're going through, being high on drugs. So that's where it touches the taxi industry so much, because we are seen as the ones that are harboring them, because they do the car washing, because they are, remember, they are just not, they didn't fall from the sky. They are children belonging to communities. So whenever they find themselves in that kind of a situation, because we do sit with them just to find out what happened, how can we assist them? And you'll get ugly stories from them. So what we are saying as a taxi industry in this case is that we need assistance. At least now, I must say, SAPS is now starting to play the ball now with the taxi industry. I don't know with my colleague with TMPD, but with us, we had several meetings since then, and they are bearing fruit, I must say. Good. And that's what we want. And to my fellow taxi operators, what I would urge them to do is to assist the cops, because they are trained to deal with drug issues. Not us. Taxi industry, we are only business people. So let's give the SAPS, TMPD chance to do their work. We cannot be seen as saints or whatever, as we put it earlier. So, but then it must happen, because we are seeing these things. Okay. And when we report issues, the issues must be addressed.
Action taken. And that's the bottom line.
We also need visibility. You know, our ranks are very vulnerable. You know, and that's where the poor of the poorest are. They're easy targets to drug addicts and all that. So we just need that kind of
more visibility.
Yes.
And that's what you're asking SAPS for. So we would like to invite SAPS onto the program to respond to some of the allegations that are made here and get their point of view as to what they are doing and working to try and get to the bottom of it. Just finally, Karen, any updates that you can give us on, I know that you've handed it over. Is there a timeline that we can see this evidence that you've put forward to SAPS about showing their members actually dealing in drugs? Has there been a timeline? Do you know when we're going to see something coming out of this? I
think that's one of the problems. We haven't received any feedback from SAPS, and that's the problem. We hope to have some feedback this afternoon with our next steering committee. I think the bottom line is here, does SAPS have a responsibility to report back to us? No, not at all. But we as a city have a part to play. We are one of the role players. Okay. We deem this as a very serious situation, and we want SAPS to be part of our collective movement of addressing the situation properly.
Thanks for coming and thanks for updating us, both of you, for being our guests here on the program. Tshwane, member of the Mayoral Committee, MMC for Community and Safety Emergency Services, Karen Meyer, and Macdonald Makata talking to us about SAPS members that are allegedly involved in Pretoria drug trade with video footage and evidence to that, to talking to that. So we'll wait for an update on that story.